I let my best friend stay in my house. Then I discovered what he was doing with my wife 3 months ago. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I let my best friend move into my house. At the time, it didn't feel like a mistake. It felt like the right thing to do. He had just lost his job. His girlfriend had kicked him out. And he had nowhere else to go. He called me late that night, and I could hear it in his voice. That kind of silence, the kind that comes when someone has completely hit rock bottom. So I didn't hesitate. I told him, "Come stay with us for a while." I thought I was helping him. I thought I was being a good friend. What I didn't realize was that decision would slowly destroy everything I had built. My marriage. My trust. My peace of mind. And the worst part? I didn't find out the truth until the night. I came home early from work. My name is Daniel. I'm 34 years old. And up until recently, I genuinely believed I had my life figured out. I had a stable job as a software consultant. Nothing flashy, but it paid well and gave me structure. I had a house in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where nothing ever really happens. And I had Sarah. My wife of 6 years. We met back in college. She had this energy, something about her that made people feel comfortable instantly. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room full of strangers and somehow make everyone feel like they already knew her. I was the opposite. More reserved. More calculated. But somehow, we worked. After college, we stayed together. We built our lives step by step. New jobs. A small apartment. Then eventually, this house. And over time, everything became stable. Predictable. Some people might find that boring. But I liked it. I liked knowing what my life looked like when I woke up every morning. Or at least, I thought I did. Because everything started changing the night my phone rang, and I saw Jason's name on the screen. Jason wasn't just a friend. He was my friend. We had known each other since high school. We went through everything together. Breakups. Terrible jobs. Late-night drives where we talked about our future like we had everything planned out. He was the one person I never had to explain myself to. So when I picked up the phone that night, and heard his voice, I knew something was wrong immediately. He sounded tired. Not just physically. Emotionally drained. Like someone who had run out of options. He told me his company had laid off half their staff. He was one of them. At first, he tried to laugh it off, like it wasn't a big deal. But then he told me his girlfriend had kicked him out a week later. And that's when the tone changed. He wasn't laughing anymore. He said he had been sleeping on different couches. One friend one night. Another friend the next. No stability. No real place to go. There was a long silence on the phone. And without thinking, I said it. "Why don't you stay with us for a while?" I didn't hesitate. Didn't overthink it. He was my best friend. Of course I was going to help him. When I told Sarah about it later that night, she paused. Just for a second. And I remember noticing that pause. But then she smiled and said, "If he needs help, he can stay here." And in that moment, I felt proud. Proud of her. Proud of us. Like we were the kind of people who showed up for others. Looking back now, that was the moment everything started. Jason moved in 2 days later. He didn't have much. A couple of bags. Some clothes. A laptop. At first, everything felt normal. Almost nostalgic. We had dinner together most nights. We talked about old memories. Sometimes we stayed up late laughing about things that only the two of us understood. It felt like having a piece of my past back in my life. And surprisingly, Sarah and Jason got along really well. Better than I expected. They joked with each other easily. Sometimes I'd walk into the room and they'd already be laughing about something. At the time, I thought it was a good thing. The house felt more alive. Less quiet. Less routine. But after a few weeks, I started noticing small things. Nothing obvious. Nothing you could point to and say, "That's wrong." Just moments. Subtle shifts. Like walking into the kitchen and the conversation suddenly stopping. Or Sarah quickly changing the subject when I joined them. At first, I ignored it. Told myself I was overthinking. Because why wouldn't I? These were two people I trusted completely. Then Sarah started changing. Not all at once. Slowly. Almost unnoticeable at first. She started spending more time on her phone. Smiling at messages. Turning the screen away slightly when I walked by. She began going to the gym more often. Buying new clothes. Posting pictures online again, something she hadn't done in years. None of those things were wrong. Individually, they were normal. But together, it felt different. Like something was shifting, just out of reach. One night, I came home later than usual. Work had been stressful, and all I wanted was to relax. As I walked up to the door, I could hear laughter inside. Loud. Genuine. I opened the door, and saw them. Sarah and Jason. Sitting close together on the couch. Watching a movie. They looked comfortable. Too comfortable. The moment they saw me, everything changed. Jason stood up quickly. "Hey man, we were just watching a comedy." Sarah smiled. But it didn't feel real. And that's when I felt it. That knot in my stomach. The one you can't explain, but you can't ignore either. A week later. I woke up early. Earlier than usual. The room was quiet. Sarah was still asleep beside me. Her phone was on the nightstand. I stared at it for a long time. Longer than I'd like to admit. In 6 years. I had never checked her phone. Not once. Because I trusted her. Completely. But that feeling in my gut. It was still there. Stronger now. Louder. And for the first time, I listened to it. I picked up her phone. My hands felt heavier than usual. Like I already knew what I was about to find. And the moment I opened her messages, everything changed. There were dozens of messages. From Jason. My heart started racing immediately. The first one I read said, "Last night was amazing." I froze. For a second. I thought I was misunderstanding. Misreading. But then I kept scrolling. More messages. More jokes. More late-night conversations. Then the tone changed. Flirting. Subtle at first. Then obvious. Then undeniable. My hands started shaking. I could barely breathe. And then I saw it. The message that destroyed everything. "Daniel can't find out." I just sat there. Staring at the screen. Reading it over and over again. Like somehow it would change. Like somehow it would mean something else. But it didn't. My best friend. My wife. In my house. Behind my back. And in that moment, I had a choice. Confront them immediately. Or wait. And find out how deep it really went. I chose to wait. For the next few days, I acted completely normal. I laughed with Jason. I talked to Sarah like nothing had changed. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings. But inside, everything was different. I was watching. Listening. Noticing everything. Every glance. Every message. Every small interaction. And then I came up with a plan. I told Sarah I had a 2-day business trip. She looked surprised. Just for a moment. But then she nodded. Didn't question it. That night, I packed a suitcase. Walked out of my own house. Got in my car. And drove away. But I didn't go far. I stayed at a friend's apartment just a few streets away. And around 9 p.m., I came back. The house lights were on. Music was playing inside. Soft. Relaxed. Like nothing was wrong. I walked up to the door slowly. My heart pounding with every step. I opened the door quietly. And then, I saw them. Standing close together in the living room. Closer than they had ever stood before. The moment they saw me, everything stopped. The music. The movement. The illusion. Jason looked frozen. Like he had just seen something impossible. Sarah's face went pale. Neither of them said a word. And strangely, neither did I. I didn't yell. Didn't scream. Didn't react the way I thought I would. I just looked at them. And asked one question. How long? At first, they tried to deny it. Both of them. Jason started talking fast. Making excuses. Saying it wasn't what it looked like. Sarah shook her head, like she wanted it to disappear. But eventually, the truth came out. It started about a month after Jason moved in. Late-night conversations. Texts. Jokes that crossed the line. Then flirting. Then something more. They kept saying the same thing. It just happened. But that wasn't true. Things like that don't just happen. They chose it. Every step of the way. They chose it. And in that moment, I realized something. It wasn't just betrayal. It was deliberate. Jason packed his things that same night. No arguments. No excuses left. Just silence. I told him to leave. And never come back. He didn't fight it. He just walked out. And that was the last time I saw him. Sarah stayed. Crying. Begging. Apologizing over and over again. But something inside me had already shut down. Some things you don't come back from. The next week, I filed for divorce. And 3 months later, my life looks completely different. Quieter, simpler, but also clearer. Because sometimes, losing the people you trust the most is the only way to see who they really were. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's this. Never let someone into your home just because you feel sorry for them. Because sometimes, the people closest to you are the ones capable of hurting you the most.